warm welcome. You're watching Mirror Now with me, Grihatul Siddiqui. And let's get you straight an update from all across the 5 states as far as the polls are concerned. Because as you know, the 5 assembly states go in for polls very, very soon. There's a big update that's coming in from Goa ahead of elections. Now, the NCP and the Shiv Sena will be finalizing the seat-sharing formula today. Sources have told Mirror Now that while the Central Congress leadership is keen on an alliance with the NCP and Sena in Goa, it is the local Congress leaders who are in fact creating roadblocks. Now, the NCP and Shiv Sena have given an ultimatum to the Congress party to decide.
उत्तर प्रदेश की इकाई ने फैसला किया कि समाजवादी पार्टी के साथ गठबंधन करना है। वहाँ हम लोगों ने मान्यता दी। गोवा में हम लोग चाहते थे कि कांग्रेस के साथ बैठकर साथ में चुनाव लड़ा जाए, लेकिन गोवा के स्थानीय नेताओं की जो रवैया है उसके कारण वहाँ गठबंधन नहीं हो पा रहा है। कल हमारे राष्ट्रीय महासचिव प्रफुल्ल पटेल जी और एक मंत्री जितेंद्र आव्हाड जी गोवा जाएंगे। शिवसेना के साथ बात होगी और लोगों से बात जो होना है वो होगी और कल कोई अंतिम निर्णय गोवा को लेकर पार्टी करेगी, जिसकी घोषणा प्रफुल्ल पटेल जी स्वयं गोवा में करेंगे।
My colleague Ketan Vaidya now joins me live on the broadcast. Ketan Vaidya, we've heard NCP and even Sena making their stand aptly clear. We've seen the talks with the Congress party not really going anywhere. However, they have made it very clear now the ball is in the Congress's court. They have to decide whether they want an alliance in Goa or not.
Yes, clearly, like Mirror Now told its viewers this morning, we had an exclusive access to MVA leaders. And they had said that this is a sort of an ultimatum to Congress, whether it wants to have some truck with NCP or Sena or not. See, as we know, senior Shiv Sena leader Sanjay Raut is in Goa, then Prafull Patel is in Goa, NCP leader, and Jitendra Awadh is also in Goa. The main impediment, as we heard Nawab Malik a while ago, is the local leaders whose ambitions are coming in the way of replicating the MVA2 formula in Goa. As we know, the Congress has already aligned with Goa Forward Party of Vijay Sardesai, a former congressman with influence areas in and around the area of Mahapsa. However, there has been no final agreement on this. So this cannot go on. So we are expecting that the Congress comes clear and if the Congress is not willing or not yielding, then we can expect NCP and Sena form another alliance in Goa. This would be the third or fourth because TMC is in the fray, AAP is in the fray, BJP is in the fray, and Congress is in the fray. So we were expecting that there would be an MVA2. However, there won't be an MVA2, and the Congress would have to go solo in Goa, and its allies in Maharashtra, namely NCP and Sena, will form a separate alliance.
Also, Ketan, if that really happens, if at all the Congress party is not able to come to terms with any kind of a formula to make an alliance with the NCP and Sena, what happens to the seat sharing as far as Sena-NCP is concerned? And also, we were so far looking at BJP and Congress as the main parties in Goa. What happens to that balance then?
Well, clearly that balance will be shaken because they were looking at unifying or uniting the secular vote. The Sena and NCP can field 40 seats. However, they know that in Goa it is the Congress who ought to be the senior partner. Congress has some ground, and Congress at this stage cannot afford a division of votes. So I think there should be some understanding shown from both sides. If this alliance doesn't happen, then there is more than a chemistry, as I told you earlier, between NCP and Sena to try this alliance. And for Maharashtra, this is a warning bell because if the Congress doesn't have a truck with NCP and Sena, then this can not to a large extent, but to at least at a alliance level, this can impact the relationship between NCP and Sena, and NCP and Sena can try this formula at various local body elections in Maharashtra, drawing the lead from Goa. So Congress leaders, the central leadership is trying its best, however small the state might be, in making an alliance. I spoke a while to Digambar Kamat's office, the former CM, who's believed allegedly not in favor of this alliance. So he is campaigning right now. He's doing a door-to-door campaigning. We have learned. We are trying to reach out to him as well to get a reaction to what Nawab Malik just alleged, that it's the local leaders who are the impediment. So it's interesting politics right now unfolding in this small island state of Goa.
Right. Ketan, thank you so much for joining me with all those details. I'm also now joined on the broadcast by Rajesh Menon, who's a senior journalist. Mr. Menon, you heard my colleague Ketan Vaidya over there. What do you see? Where is the political climate of Goa really heading right before the polls?
Griha, the political climate is pretty fickle. It's very fluid still. We are still waiting for the nominations to start and see who is going to field whom. The alliances most probably have been stitched in. Congress is going with the regional party Goa Forward. MGP has gone with TMC. BJP, I think, is going alone. I don't see them because they're going to contest around 38 seats. I heard him saying about the MVA type of alliance in Goa, which is in Maharashtra, of Congress, NCP, and Sena. Now, see, for optics, it looks very good to talk about Maharashtra type of alliance in Goa. But you have to understand that in Goa, whether NCP and Sena have got that kind of a base, whether they are going to bring in that kind of votes, whether they will be able to get any seats. When you don't have a base, you are not able to influence constituencies. I don't know why would you want to go for an alliance just for the optics. And in Goa, you have to also keep it in mind that it is more politics of personalities rather than politics of parties. So right now it is pretty fluid. Things are still
right.
They're not firmed up. We're still waiting for tomorrow. We are expecting the BJP to come out with the first list. Probably they will come out with the first list, which will be mostly BJP has tied up their seats, except for a couple of 5 or 6 seats which they have got 2 or 3 contenders. But otherwise, they're more or less. I think they're tied up their candidates. Congress has come out with a couple of 15
right. So, Mr. Menon, you're essentially saying that the Congress doesn't need to tie with the NCP and Sena. However, the NCP Sena were really, really keen that they get an alliance with the Congress. Also, like my colleague Ketan really pointed out, this also, if this alliance doesn't really happen, this will set a template for the Sena and the NCP to actually fly solo, minus the Congress in other states where a possible alliance can actually be looked at. Isn't that a worry for the Congress party then?
No, I don't think so. I don't think politics works that way, because in Goa, Sena, NCP, last time also they didn't tie up. I don't think there was an alliance as such. So I'm talking about the 2017 elections. The Congress went solo, BJP went solo, all of them went solo. So and at that time, Sena was a partner of BJP at the center. So I don't think that will be an impediment when it comes to tying up in other states, because I don't think politicians take it upon themselves. It's all about a matter of convenience.
Yeah.
Also,
Mr. Menon, so much talk about Utpal Parrikar's candidature. The fact that there was also talk that he might just be flying solo, going independent. And now we just heard Sena leader Sanjay Raut saying that now BJP, after he pointed out the issue, BJP would want him to actually contest under a BJP ticket. What is really happening there?
Well, we don't know, because we have been hearing different voices. It has been more from the opposition parties who have been talking about Manohar Parrikar's legacy, rather than BJP talking about it. Basically, BJP doesn't have to talk about it because everybody knows about Parrikar. But let me just tell you about Parrikar's legacy. If you're talking about Parrikar's legacy, you have to understand, you have to look at how he has come into politics. An IITian comes into the state, he doesn't want to get in. He was a reluctant politician in the first place. He was brought into politics, he was pushed into politics. He comes up, sets up a company here in Goa, starts running a business. He was going on with his RSS, whatever work he's a cadre-based guy, so he was working with that. He has made sacrifices. He has gone out and stuck posters. Okay. Parrikar was not airdropped into BJP and he became a leader. In 94, he won the first elections. For 6 years, he sat in the opposition. He worked hard. You know, he made personal sacrifices. He lost his wife. He brought up his 2 young children during those times. So you have to look at all that with a person who had a vision, who had a mission, who knew what he was doing, and who could think at least 20 years ahead. So that is a Parrikar's legacy, what we are talking about. And he was a very strong leader, which Goa is actually lacking today. We don't have a strong leader over here in Goa who of a stature of Parrikar, who could analyze the situation and take quick decisions and who could come up with out-of-the-box solutions. So that we don't find. So in the backdrop of that, when you say that you want to continue with Parrikar's legacy, when everybody says about that Parrikar's legacy and you want to continue, I don't know how far they are thinking about what happened and just thinking about a Manohar Parrikar, the name, and saying that, like, okay, fine, because he became the Union Defense Minister, so we want to continue his legacy. It's not that easy to continue Parrikar's legacy because it involved sacrifice, personal sacrifice, hard work. He put his boot on the ground. He walked miles for it before he became Manohar Parrikar, what he was today. Well, what he was when he passed away. And so I seriously don't know where BJP stands on that, because from what we have heard from the BJP leaders, including Devendra Fadnavis, and I think G. Kishan Reddy, both of them, Fadnavis is in charge of Goa for the BJP. They have been saying that, like, Jasbir Manohar Parrikar's son is not an automatic, what do you call it? You don't get a ticket automatically because you're a Parrikar's son. So we are not very sure about that, but I would assume that BJP is not too inclined from their statements to give ticket to Parrikar.
Also, Mr. Menon, before I let you go, where do you see TMC and Aam Aadmi Party standing in Goa? Because very, very strong statements coming from TMC MP Mahua Moitra also, that the Congress party should in fact get down from its high horse, really should not be looking as they are the monarchs there in the state. So where do you see the two parties there standing in Goa?
See, AAP has made it clear that they're going alone. They have made it clear that they are not interested in any kind of alliance. I think they are contesting last year also. AAP is not a new entrant. AAP contested last year also. They contested 40 seats. They got 3.5% vote share. TMC is a new entrant. Now, it's very interesting to see that the posturing by these guys, talking about an anti-BJP friend, but fighting among themselves. You know, nobody seems to be taking on BJP, but fighting among themselves and trying to take each other's supporters and the so-called leaders. So I seriously don't know what it means, because for me it looks like just like posturing. That's it.
All right. Rajesh Menon, thank you so much for joining me on the broadcast with all those details. A lot of things that are ensuing as far as the political climate of Goa is concerned. We'd have to wait and watch what really comes out of this entire scenario.